Hello everyone, good day. Welcome to this video discussion on the introduction to humanities and arts. In this video discussion, I shall be talking about the basic concepts on the introduction to humanities and arts, and this will also introduce you to art appreciation in general. Why is there the significance or the importance to study humanities and arts? So, before we proceed to our discussion on art appreciation, it's very important that we develop first a deep knowledge or understanding on humanities. Humanities may be defined as the study of man's culture, man's nature, his culture, the evolution of his thinking and ideas, his aspirations and ideals acquired through examination of his works by historical analysis. Now, in order for us to really understand what arts mean, we need to really understand first what humanities is and how it works. So, as defined here by the Humanities Committee, as cited by Pasigi et al. In 2009, humanities or the study of humanities involves man's nature, okay, understanding the nature of men, and then their culture, okay, how they evolve through times in terms of culture and civilization, also the logic, okay, or the thinking of men, and of course their aspirations and ideals. And this basically is done through analysis of historical background, okay, those that existed before and those that have been going on in currently or those that will still happen in the future. So these are the things that we need to consider when studying humanities. Now, in the Renaissance period, humanities began to be studied rather than practiced. So the Renaissance period was the period after the Middle Age. Okay, this is the so-called the rebirth, okay, or the period of rebirth. So during the Renaissance period, there was this rebirth or rediscovery of the classical philosophy, literature, and the arts. And because there was this rebirth, humanities was studied during this time instead of being practiced, unlike in the previous eras. And during the Roman times, the concept of seven liberal arts evolved. Okay, so there was now this progress or development when it comes to the arts. So the focus more on was on the trivium and the quadrivium. So when you talk about humanities, this involves the trivium. Okay, so we have grammar, rhetoric, and logic, and then you also have the quadrivium, arithmetic, astronomy, music, and geometry. So, as what I mentioned, it's not enough that we develop only a good knowledge or deep understanding of what humanities is. It is also important to identify the significance of learning or studying humanities. Humanities provides man a thorough knowledge of his history and his cultural tradition. So when we talk about the study of humanities, it allows people to delve more into the history, okay, or the cultural background of an individual or of us humans in general. Humanities also helps man to acquire values and wisdom, considering that there have been or there were values taught before or there were principles taught before to people which evolved because of traditions, okay, or cultural specifications. Humanities also helps man to develop critical thinking because this involves logic, and so we also need to understand our reasons for purposes for existence. And aside from that, humanities also helps promote man's intellectual, social, moral, and aesthetic development. So with the help of humanities, we are actually developing our cognitive capacities, social in terms of how we interact with people, because the more we understand ourselves, the more that we also get to understand the uniqueness of individuals. And then this also goes to follow that we get to understand also our moral obligations and as well as our appreciation for aesthetics or the arts in general. So, what is an art? Now that we have fully understood what humanities is, it's vital that we also understand what art is. Art is derived from the Latin word ars, meaning ability or skill. Art begins as a human encounter or experience of nature in all its depth and variety. So we cannot really say that we experience arts unless we experience human encounter. And so, by this statement alone, we can already think that we have been experiencing arts because we have been experiencing human encounter as well. The more that we encounter humans, or the more that we establish social relationships with the people around us, the more that we expose ourselves to the very nature of art. So first one, we have the intrapersonal encounter. Okay? So when you say intrapersonal encounter, it's your encounter with yourself. When we understand our emotions, when we try to understand as well our reasons for existence or our purpose in this world, we get to have that intrapersonal encounter, which also tickles not only our creativity and imagination, but also our critical thinking. So the more that we boost these aspects of ourselves, the more that we engage in the nature of art. Second one, we have societal and interpersonal encounter. So the more that we interact with people around us, the more we understand also the uniqueness of humanity. The more that we understand also the emotions, okay, the cultural perspectives or trajectories of other people, the more that we build stronger relationships within the community. And so, it is easier for us to understand also everything in the world the moment that we understand each of these encounters. And then we also have the metapersonal and transcendent encounters. So oftentimes, when we allow our imagination or the existence of these transcendent features, the more that we also open our minds to the existence of life. Things like this will also allow us not only to tickle our imagination or creative minds, but also our questions, okay, the questions of ourselves, which will always boil down to the philosophy of humanity. Now, a popular term used to designate art today is design. So when we talk about design, oftentimes we equate it with arts, being artistic. So if you know how to design well, or if you have skills in designing, then most often than not, you are considered to be artistic. It comes from the Italian word designare, which means to draw or to draw line. It also means to set boundaries. Now, let's consider this statement coming from Leo Tolstoy. To evoke in oneself a feeling one has once experienced, and having evoked it in oneself, then by means of movements, lines, colors, sounds, or forms expressed through words, so to convey this so that others may experience the same feeling, this is the activity of art. So when we talk about arts, we are talking about allowing people around us to experience what we have experienced in our life. Through this, we are actually using our creative minds, our imagination, and all these other artistic elements in order for us to draw the meaning, okay? And let the audience or let other people around us experience our meaning of certain things or, encounters, daily encounters in our lives. Now, Leo Tolstoy here emphasizes that our feelings, once evoked, will allow us to creatively or imaginatively portray or convey our messages towards other people through artistic media. So that's when we use words, okay, lines, colors, sounds. Okay, it depends on what medium we use in order for us to depict whatever experience we have had in the past, and we would wish to share to other people around us or to our audience. So art is not nature. Okay, art is made by man. We cannot really say that art is naturally occurring. What art is not nature, what is nature is not art. Okay? Okay, so what nature, here we can emphasize that what is art is not nature, and that what is nature is definitely not art, because from the word itself, we could already say that art is not naturally existing, it's human-made. So we make arts. Why? Because it's out of our emotions. And our emotions are a product of what we think and what we feel on certain experiences. So this one is an example of an art which is definitely human-made. Okay? This is a wax figure of Miss Universe 2015 Pia Alonso Wurzbach by Madame Tussauds. So we also need to understand arts because it will allow us to open our mind to the richness and beauty around us. If we are not open to understanding what arts is, then that goes to say that we are not also open to understanding the beauty, okay, the majestic features of the world. It is also one good way for us to understand our own history, culture, and other people. So for example, here in the Philippines, we have our own arts, right? And it is through this that we get to understand also our own heritage or tradition. It is also one good way to communicate our ideas and feelings. So when we paint or when we draw, then it could be an outlet of our emotions. When we write poetry, okay? When we engage in drama, all of these are channels of our ideas and feelings. It is also one good way to appreciate the aesthetic beauty. For example, photography, okay, cinema, films. We also have painting. Now, these genres will teach us that there is beauty even in the simplest forms of art. And then it is also there to cultivate one's abilities for self-expression. So since art is a medium for us to communicate our ideas and feelings, it allows also self-expression, and it also enhances our imagination and creativity on things. This time, let's talk about the functions of arts. Why is art in general purposeful? So first one is the contextual function of art. Trying to classify function depending on the context. For example, we have here a painting titled The Scream in 1893 by Edvard Munch. Now this painting evokes a lot of feelings. It portrays a lot of feelings or emotions. At first glance, you would just think that there is abstraction behind the major subject of this painting. But if you are to understand the totality of this painting, you could see already, or you could already understand the context of this art. Okay? It already suggests a strong meaning to its audience. And contextual function of art tells us that whatever masterpiece of art there is a specific context behind it. So for example, if it is poetry, we know that the author or the writer of such a poetry had a reason for writing such. Or when a painter paints a certain masterpiece, then there has to be a reason behind why that painting existed in the first place, or why that painting was made or done in the first place. Second one, we have physical function of art. Okay, this goes to those masterpieces which have specific functions to play. Works of art that are created to perform some service have physical functions. For example, we have this black raku tea bowl named Oguru, okay, or Great Black. So this one has a specific function, and that is to hold tea. Okay? And then we also have other, for example, in terms of furniture making. Now we have seen already that there are a lot of furniture which has different forms, okay, depending on the artistry of the one who made it. Out of these furniture, we could already say that there is this physical function, meaning it serves a specific purpose. Okay, it has a physical purpose that humans can use. And then we also have the personal function of art, meaning it expresses social or collective aspects of human existence. For example, if it has something to do with religion or social classes. Let's talk about this painting by by this photo by Dorothea Lam. This one is a photo of a migrant mother. Now, if you look at this picture, we could depict already a lot of messages. It evokes a lot of emotions, most especially that we are talking about a very sensitive social issue on migration. Okay, so this one is expressive of the social aspect, okay, of a social reality, and this could have a personal function. We also have another personal function of art, which is for self-expression or gratification. For example, we have in fashion, okay? What you wear and how you wish to appear to other people or to the community is also a projection of your personality. So art becomes an outlet or a channel of who you are as a person or as an individual. We also have socio-cultural function of art. Now, this one is basically boiling to our understanding of the cultural perspective of art. In the first place, we know that art has been considered as one best representation of culture and heritage. Now, this is essential to engaging in the rituals that serve as the ingredients required to nurture and sustain any society. For example, you have the Idaw, a ritual performed by warriors right before going to war. Now, this photography is definitely a projection of a social-cultural function of art, which is to capture or to arrest the reality of this cultural practice. Okay? So those are the different functions of art. And again, I'd like to emphasize that it's very important for us to study the humanities and arts for us to also create a wider perspective of the world around us. Oftentimes, we take things literally, but through arts, we can actually dive into a deeper substantiation or comprehension of all these things happening around us. And we all know that arts as a collectively considered as one masterpiece may be also considered as a projection of the realities of life. So again, it's very important that we understand the different functions of art for us also to realize that art exists for a specific reason. It is not there for aesthetic purposes only. It's not only there to fascinate us with the different colors, shapes, okay, the different methods or styles used to portray artistry. It's there because it has this advocacy. It promotes something. Okay? It shows us the reality. It shows us people's feelings and emotions. And most of all, it shows how humans live nowadays. So if you have any question regarding this discussion, kindly post them in the open forum. Thank you very much for watching this video discussion.